Hello and welcome to the Dice Tower. I'm Wendy Yi.
And I'm Chris Yi.
And today we're going to be reviewing Sushi Go, the 10th anniversary bento box edition.
Yep, so this is the same classic Sushi Go, just the original Sushi Go, not Sushi Go Party. The 10th anniversary edition, deluxeified, some extra cool little bits and bobs in there.
Yeah, it's got some extra desserts and stuff. So Chris is going to show you what comes in this tasty little box.
Here's the game set up on the table. This is an example of a 3-player setup, but based on the different player count, you're going to deal each player a different number of cards. And this is also a great summary on the back of the rulebook here of what all of the different cards do and the way that they score. Now, this is a card drafting game. It's always been called the Sushi Go, the pick and pass card game, because you're going to take one card, play it face down, and once everyone is ready, you'll reveal and flip them face up. The cards then get passed to the next player on one direction, everyone passing cards the same way, and then you will grab another card, play it face down, and then everyone will reveal, and you'll continue to do this until all of the cards have been drafted in this way. At the end of the round, you'll score up based on how many points you earned from these different combinations of cards, and there are also dessert cards which have a special scoring at the end of the game. So let's go through really quick how these things score. There are nigiri cards here, which are just worth 1, 2, or 3 points. If you draft a wasabi and then place a nigiri on top of it, it'll multiply the value of that next nigiri times 3. Tempura are worth 5 points if you have 2 of them. These sashimi here are worth 10 points if you're able to collect 3 of them. Dumplings are worth 1 point if you have 1, and as you have more of them, you will score more points. 3 points now if you have 2 of them, 6, 10, or up to 15. Maki rolls are a majorities game, so whoever has the most of them will get 6 points at the end of the round. Whoever has the second most will get 3. There are also chopsticks, which act as a special card. When you take this, you have no particular effect, but in a future hand, if you see 2 cards that you'd like to grab, you can use the chopsticks, declare that you're taking 2 cards. The chopsticks go into your hand and will get passed along, and then when you reveal both cards together. So those are the ways that the basic cards are going to score here, but there is one specialty, and that's the dessert. Now, as for people who are already familiar with Sushi Go, there's already going to be a difference here. The strawberry pudding acts differently than the original pudding from the game. This is going to be a majorities game. It's a little race that scores as you collect cards. So if I collected this card, I now have the most strawberry pudding symbols in front of me. I would take the squishy strawberry pudding over here, place it in front of me, and immediately collect 2 points, 1s and 5s. If any player then is able to have more of these pudding symbols in front of them at any point, they will take the squishy in front of them, and they'll score 2 points, and it continues to be passed around over the course of the game. At the end of the round, you score points up for everything that you've accomplished here, and then you will shuffle up all of the cards, discard all of the cards, and deal new cards out. But the dessert cards are going to stay in front of you, and this race will continue. And this will continue to get passed around for 2 points each. At the end of the game, only at the end of the third round, you'll notice that there is a penalty, -6 points for the player who has the fewest pudding symbols in front of them. So, this little sushi boat here is an extra as well. At the end of each round, the player who has the most points can set the sushi boat miniature in front of them. Why? Not sure. Bragging rights, perhaps. But let's talk about a few of the other things here. The production on this is very nice, of course. It comes with a little deck box where all the cards come into, slots for everything. The rulebook also has alternate ways that you can play in the back of the book that have been compiled over the last decade, like passing both directions. So instead of always passing cards to the left at the end of each turn, you alternate in each round, passing left, right, and then to the left. Or Sushi Golf, where you play for the lowest score that you can instead of the highest. There's a 2-player variant wherein you have a personal draw pile. So you will have your hand of cards that you will draft from, and after you pick one and reveal it, and you pass the remaining cards to the other player, when you get a new hand of cards back, you will also draw a new card from your personal draw pile. That way more of the information is hidden between the 2 players. So that's another 2-player variant. Or you can play 2-player duel, Sushi Duel, inspired, of course, by Seven Wonders Duel, and it works well, and it has explanations of all the rules there, different ways you can play with a dummy player, or alternate Maki rules. So there are a few extra things thrown there in the back of the rulebook as well. Now, there are also a few specialty desserts, alternate desserts you can play with. If you don't want to see what those are, go ahead and skip over to the review section here. But otherwise, underneath the tray, hello, there are a few bonuses here. Now, as I mentioned, the original Sushi Go had the basic puddings, and so good old pudding is back in the game, of course, and so that's one of the little blister packs or booster packs you can open up, and you can play with the original, though they are these shiny foiled cards, which is cool. The next one here is going to be the boba, or the bubble tea. This one here is about trying to collect runs of cards. So if you collect these two, the 3 and the 4, then that is a sequence of 2 cards, so you'll score 4 points. If you have 1, 3, 4, that's a sequence of 1 for 1 point, and a sequence of 2 for 4 points. But if you're able to get up to all of them together, that's a sequence of all 5 for 20 points. And you'll notice that the bobas have different number, little bubbles in there based on the value of the card, 1 through 5 twice. When you play with these alternate desserts, you take out all of one type of dessert and you only shuffle these ones in there. The last 2 kinds are, first off, the mochi. Every time that you collect a mochi card, you will re-roll your die. Everyone starts with one of these specialty mochi die, which just look delicious, and they will all start at 1. When a player drafts a mochi card, they will re-roll the die in front of them, hoping to get a higher value for the end of the game. Mochis only score at the end of the game, and whoever has the highest number on it will get 6 points. Whoever has the lowest number on it will lose 6 points. But if you are at any time able to draft a mochi, you must re-roll, even if you don't want to. If you're stuck with that as the last card, you have to re-roll, and that might cost you some points. That's the mochi there, the only one that uses the dice. And the last one here are these. These are the frozen yogurt cards, which whoever has the highest value of frozen yogurt at the end of the game gets 6 points. Whoever has the lowest value will lose 6 points, much like the other desserts here. However, you don't know what the value of these cards are. It could be a 1, a 2, or a 3, and the only way to find out exactly what that value is to warm up the ice cream between your fingers. So this one is a value 2 card, whereas this next one here might be higher or lower, and you don't know, you're not allowed to peek until you have drafted that card and secured it in front of you. This one's a 3. This is public information, and everyone's allowed to know at any point what the standing is, but you're not allowed to peek at them when they are still in your hand. And those are the 4 types of desserts. Those are the extras. That's everything that comes inside the 10th anniversary box of Sushi Go. So sometimes when an anniversary edition of a game comes out, especially like a very low price point game, production can be a little bit silly, right? This is a very nice production from Game Right. I feel like they tend to do very good stuff at their cheap price point already. Wrath of Fire Mountain, Sushi Go Party, the basic Sushi Go.
Sure.
And this is, I feel like overall, like a step up in their general quality.
I think it is. I like the gold foil on the back of the cards. I think that it's very classy. It doesn't work to mix it in with your other Sushi Go sets. And I think that that's a very clear thing to point out.
Yes.
Because this does come with those extra desserts that you showed in the overview. And there's that hope of like, oh, I can pull those and I can stick them in my Sushi Go Party collection. But that's not the case. You can't play, your nice little spoon. What do you call those little spoon things?
Yeah, the spoon.
The little spoon. It's just called spoon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can't play your spoon card with the new dessert cards.
Right, things like that. And so I think that this is a really good quality production, and it feels nicer. But yeah, there is that one little downside. Because that was my first hope, was like, more cards to throw. Oh, it won't work. But, and here's a little touch that I really appreciate, is that inside of the big box is the little deck box here. Mm-hmm. Because Sushi Go is a very, very portable game. You can bring that anywhere and play with almost anyone, right? And so the fact that you can do that, and you're going to not have the scoring pieces and the bowl and the big squishy pudding thing that's like unnecessary, but fun. You can just have this still. Price point is the other thing. This is a $30 box for a game that's already existed for 10 years. You can find it for like $11 a lot of places.
Right. And you can even find Sushi Go Party for a similar price point, maybe a little bit less. What's interesting, though, is that this does have those higher quality cards. It does have the extra little, like, unnecessary squishy and miniature things.
Yes, the accoutrements.
And honestly, $30 for a board game is not a lot. Like, in our day and age, $30 is, like, very, very affordable.
It is a lot for a silly card game, but I'm biased because I really enjoy this game. I've always enjoyed the basic Sushi Go. They have the Sushi Go line of games, the other ones and stuff, and we've been mentioning Sushi Go Party primarily because that is just a much more robust
version of this.
But it's fun for me to come back and play just the classic Sushi Go, which honestly I haven't done since we bought Sushi Go Party because of the variety built into that box.
So for me, Sushi Go Party is still the ultimate edition. And so that's the one that I think that I would still play. But I like that this one has a few of those different desserts, and I think that it's fair reviewing this kind of as its own thing.
Right.
So setting aside from that $30 price point,
Mm-hmm.
and
right.
from the, you know what I mean, like comparing it to the other Sushi Go world, I think there's some interesting things. I think out of all the desserts, the boba tea is probably my favorite, or bubble tea, because that dessert is one where you're trying to get numbers in order, 1 through 5, and every chunk of cards in order, you get like higher amounts of points, but you can have different sets and stuff. It's the only dessert in this section where you can collect it and just get a point for it no matter what.
Right, and there's also no negatives. You're not going to worry about. Yeah, most of the other ones, and one of my smaller complaints about the 4 extras that you get is that a lot of them feel kind of similar. Have most, get most points. Have fewest, lose points. Which is kind of that Sushi Go staple, right?
Right.
From the original pudding that was in that came in the basic little tin version of it. But I like the way that the other ones do. Now, we're going to talk about one very specifically here. The frozen yogurt.
I like the idea behind it.
I do. I showed it to a few people, and they're like, this is so cute and so amazing. We are currently kind of sitting underneath an air conditioning vent, so I wonder if you're going to see the same issue that we had when we played this under an AC vent, where you reveal it, and then it it's lasting a decent long time.
You also have much warmer hands than I have.
This is something to be aware of, is that...
It's hard. Okay, so it goes back to black quickly sometimes. Like, if you're like me and you have cold fingers, it goes back quickly. You have to hold it. Like, I had to hold it between my hands like this, and I was worried about bending the cards, and I'm pretty sure our daughter did bend some of the cards. And even then, I do it, and it's like, it's still just warm from your finger because you're apparently super hot. The other thing is that the number underneath there is a very similar color to the fruit frozen yogurt that the picture is of.
Yeah, it's a darker orange over a lighter orange.
Right. I feel like they put a completely black cover over it. They should have been able to use a darker color.
I agree.
Like black, maybe.
Yeah. So one of the secrets, right? If you don't want to know that, I'll have put like a spoiler warning or something earlier. Going back to the original classic pudding, which I think is fun. I'm glad they included because let's talk about the mochi, then we'll jump to the strawberry pudding, right?
Okay.
So the mochi, you roll the personal die. This was our daughter's favorite. This is one of my favorites in a dorky way. Like, I like the bubble tea, like you said, the collecting the sets, the runs, because I think that's the most robust and interesting. But this one, you get to roll a die.
Also, it's the most interactive because you can force people at the end of the round to re-roll their die. And you're like, oh, Chris has a 12? I'm totally making it so Chris gets the mochi at the end.
Right. And you're
not going to take it to prevent yourself from getting it at the end. Like, the rest of us can just be like, nah.
Yeah. And so I like this one for its kind of zaniness. And, so like the bubble tea is the more like thoughtful kind of cool one for Sushi Go. But this one, I like that. And I like that you can stick them, right? That last card can really matter with this.
The strawberry pudding, what is that one?
So this is the basic
that's the lead
dessert.
One, yeah,
this is the basic dessert that comes in the box now.
It's an excuse to have the squishy. That's what it is.
It really is. Yeah. They qualified the excuse. If you steal the squishy, if you have the most, you get the points immediately. Something that we've seen in like Ethnos with like the giants and stuff. And I like that. It's a nice touch. And it's a fun way to shake up the basic game that comes in the box, which I think that was a good call. But yeah, it mostly qualifies. It tries to basically make that existence of the squishy squish worth it, and I would have bought it even without that.
Yeah.
But that's just me. I like this game.
No, that's fair. That's fair. So for me, I think if I'm going to take all of this, I'm going to give this an 8.5. So Sushi Go Party, as reference, is a 9.5 for me. Like, I love Sushi Go Party. It might be a 10. And it has so much diversity and variety. So me saying this is an 8.5 is a mild step down, but it's still a great game because Sushi Go is a great game. And adding in those few desserts does add that variety. I like the fancy cards. Our daughter loves the squishy. So it has that like family kid appeal while still being, you know, the Sushi Go we love and play all the time. So if I didn't have Party, I would buy this over regular Sushi Go. Because it adds the variety. But because Party exists, I'm going to buy that.
For me, the score on this one is an 8, right? It's very similar to how I rate original Sushi Go. I think that Sushi Go is a solid game. It's super fun. And I think that I agree that Party is very, very high up there for me. But the debate is it worth like the extra cash, right? Because this is an anniversary edition. There's only a certain number in print. So people are going to say, should I buy this one or the original? And the thing is that it's kind of hard to justify the $30 price point on it. But it is nice that there's a little bit of variety. And the increase in production quality is notable. Like, it really is. I think that this is a solid package. And if you like having cutesy card games like this is a win. Get either edition of it. It doesn't really matter. Whichever one you're more comfortable with the price point at. But
if you like sparkly things.
If you
or
like
shiny things.
Yeah. If you're someone who's like, I want the little sparklies, I want the little extras,
Yeah.
I want the little dies that I get to roll.
I want the temperature changing, card.
I think that's great, right?
It's a mood ring.
So it's an 8 for me because I still think that it's quite worth it. I think they did a great job. And this is especially a nice thank you. If you are someone who's had a copy of Sushi Go that's been so played.
And is beat up and destroyed now.
Yeah, right. When you shuffle it, like the cards stick together, you're like, oh, well, we were thinking about getting a new one anyway. Then this is like perfect for you. Because there are those people who have done that, who have gone through multiple copies of it, because it's such a charming, fun, playable game. And I think that this one just celebrates that in a really, really respectful and nice way. It's not super over-the-top price, but it is, hey, you're paying a little extra and you're getting extra.
I think that's fair.
Yep.
Well, those are our thoughts on Sushi Go, the 10th anniversary edition. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Wendy Yi.
And I'm Chris Yi.
And have fun eating that sushi.
Hey folks, thanks for joining us for that video. If you haven't yet, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hey, make sure you check out what's happening where I'll cover an app on an iOS or a Switch device, and you can check it out along with me. Thanks very much. You've been watching The Dice Tower.
Sushi Go, pick one and pass 'em. Sushi Go, pick and pass 'em in the night. Sushi Go, pick one and pass 'em.